television from the palace of Fonangwafo of Mankon in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, hit by socio-political and security crisis for close to 3 years today. And the palace of Fonangwafo the third of Mankon is receiving the Prime Minister and Head of Government of the Republic of Cameroon, Chief Dr. Joseph NGUTE, who is coming with a message of peace from the President of the Republic of Cameroon. And while receiving him, the phone of Mankon Angwafo III notably highlighted the fact that he is one of those who participated in the coming together of the former East and West Cameroon, today known as the Republic of Cameroon, and he lamented over the devastating consequences of the crisis. He lamented over the destruction, the burning down of houses and villages in the two Anglophone regions of the country, and of course indicated that there is no reason to justify, there is no justification to the ongoing destruction and atrocities that have been committed in these two regions.
I happen to be a citizen who worked for unification of this country and who voted. How many of you are of my age? I don't see them. Well, that is life. But think before you act. Where do you think I stand now? I voted for unification. Now, there's confusion. Not from my camp, from the camp of my children. But I am appointed by my late father. Whom am I going to appoint to take my place? Where's the population? Because we listen to our parents. We have a culture. Not be a culture of election, appointment. They look at you and appoint you. I was appointed, I was not elected. Appointed. Today is an evolution. We are electing. Again, we disagree with our own results of the election. Where do you think people of my age group stand? To whom are we going to hand over? We had education in Nigeria. You have your schools and universities here, and you are not using them. To whom shall I hand over? An educated child or an uneducated one? Why have we suddenly changed? This is a phone, it's a ruler, I'm a ruler. Who is now ruling? Rumors? How can rumors rule? I'm lucky. The head of state has sent him here, and he has decided to come and see where I'm lying with my coaches. So he comes as a messenger from the head of state. I sent my two councillors who were at the meeting, and I've heard what he told me. He's not tired of talking. He's here. He will repeat and repeat what he's been saying. I am sorry that the tradition is falling out. Our successors, the children of tomorrow, are not listening. They believe they know better. we left the English speaking administration to join the French speaking administration. Now, he's a fun, I'm a fun. Who, in our history, would allow his fondom to be split into pieces? Here is Mancon. You might have heard the Mancon had a war with the Germans. The Zingrab War. Zingrab came here, the German first settled in Berlin. And we had no maps to divide the territory. They were thinking, the Mancon people are Berlin people. They said, we are not. The Berlin people would say, oh, it is a part of our territory. We are not. War broke out. We fought for our identity. And today we have sent away the foreigners, foreign rule. And after a few years of unification and independence, we are confused. We have secondary schools, we have universities here. We went far to Nigeria to have small education, no school. Today we brought everything home. Where is the confusion coming from? Well, we have it all. That's a foreign prime minister. What have we not?
Of a piece from the President of the Republic calling on the pro-independence fighters to drop their guns and come out of the bushes and return to the normal life trend so that there can be a restoration of peace, a return to normalcy in the two Anglophone regions of the country.
The President of the Republic sent me to the Northwest region to bring a message of peace to the region, to renew his message of peace that he has been sending since this conflict started. He asked me to say that our children should leave the bush. That is not their rightful place. Their rightful place is in schools. Their rightful place is in the football pitches. Their rightful place is in carrying out small businesses. And to live like all other young Cameroonian youths are living, not to be in the bush, retrograding and becoming like animals. It's animals who live in the bush, not in man. He says he has heard them. They say they want dialogue in a certain form. He has accepted that dialogue. He says I should come and tell them that this country is united. We shall discuss all political issues in that dialogue except separating the country. And you have said it, that we cannot separate the country. Even your own fondom, you cannot separate it. And the president, who is the fond of all Cameroon, like him, he cannot separate his big fondom. He has asked me to tell those young people that he is going to guarantee that their livelihoods will be secured, and he will do everything to create jobs for them. Once they come out, they deposit their arms and they go to the centers. He will help them to find jobs. He has asked me to say that for the third year running, schools are not functioning. We are keeping our children in darkness, and education is the only light that humans know. If 4 years pass and no education for our children, we will lose a whole generation of our children. The Republic has done a lot to bring schools to us, universities to us. It is for us to use them. He asked me to say that all the infrastructure in the Northwest region, you people were the ones who developed it. And even before you and others. So the young children today have no right to destroy what their parents and grandparents built. They have been breaking bridges down. They have been destroying hospitals, schools. Oh, we need more hospitals, we need more schools, and we need them to preserve them for future generations, to hand them over like you people handed us other things. he has asked me to say that this thing should end. He has opened his heart, he's opened his arms, he wants to receive it. Well, that is the message, Your Royal Highness. Notables, princes, queens, that I came. And I know that those children did not fall from the sky. They are our children. We should talk to them. We should tell them that something has gone on for too long. The president has opened up and has given in and tried to accommodate them. And what they wanted, they say an event, they want people to sit around the table, he is organizing that. And they can put their problems on the table. It is time for them to leave. Everyone who has been following up events for the past 2.5 years knows that this region has suffered greatly from the insurrection that started with what has come to be known as Amber Boys. They took up arms, they started fighting the police, fighting security forces, destroying property, state property, sometimes personal property of people, and the government could not let this happen. And so security forces came in, the military also intervened in order to keep the peace. And they've been doing a great deal of work in trying to bring peace to the area. However, the president, having seen the suffering of this population, has sent me to reassure the population that all he wants is peace. He doesn't want these young people to continue to stay in the bushes where they are losing education, they are not getting any education, where they are being a nuisance to themselves, they are being a nuisance to the community, destroying trade, destroying social intercourse. A lot of community leaders have left the communities like traditional leaders, and this is not right. So he has sent me to reassure them that they should leave the bushes, they should come, drop their arms, come to the centers that he has created to receive them, to give them free food, free clothing, so that they can go through a process of reintegrating normal life. He has told me to reassure them that the dialogue they have been asking for, it is true he has been dialoguing with them through his institutions, through his ministers, through many other channels. But if they want, as they want, a dialogue which will look at a number of issues, he is prepared to hold that dialogue. All he's looking for is people who can be representative enough to dialogue. That is what he's looking at. And he's organizing that. And he has said that with the exception of separation or secession, every other topic can be discussed. So he's prepared to listen to every other issue. So he has asked me to reassure them and to tell them that the destruction of bridges, of edifices, of schools, of houses is not useful. It cannot bring any meaningful result. Some of these bridges, some of these structures were built not by them, not even by us, but by our fathers, our grandfathers. And they built them so that future generations should enjoy them. They don't have a right to destroy them. We don't have a right to destroy them. We must create new structures for future generations. And that is how a society develops and evolves. So he has asked me to tell them that it is not necessary. That should stop. He has asked me to tell all community leaders to join hands to ensure that the Northwest region, which was notorious for peace, which was notorious for tranquility, which was notorious for its hard-working people, its good system of education, good health institutions, should start enjoying those facilities again. People should come to the Northwest region for health, for schooling, for good education. But today, people are running away from the region. All the children are leaving the region to go to other regions in the country to get some education. It should stop. We are not doing ourselves a favor. The boys are not doing themselves a favor, so we should stop it. And that is why he has asked me to come here to reiterate this to the population, to talk to all the people who can talk to those boys, that he is prepared to listen to them. He is prepared to provide them jobs. He is prepared to do a number of things to advance their cause. So they should seize this opportunity and come out.
Earlier in the course of the 4-day visit to the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the Prime Minister also received politicians from across the board, including those from the Social Democratic Front, notably the President or the National Chairman of the Social Democratic Front, John Frundi, Honorable Chinda Simon, as well as the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Nkeze Emilia, and the politicians maintain that there must be a ceasefire for a return to normalcy, or as the beginning of the solution to the Anglophone crisis. And of course, they indicated that they retain from the Prime Minister that the government is ready to discuss everything except cessation.
The point we take home from the Prime Minister is that the head of state has accepted to talk on condition that there's no discussion of secession. That we've retained. And we've also retained that he is on the path of a political solution, as opposed to the military solution which, he has been on so far. Those are what we retain from the Prime Minister. The message the party has given the Prime Minister, there are 4 sides to the message. The first point is that we are asking for an immediate bilateral ceasefire. That must be the first point. The second point is that we are asking for an immediate release of all political prisoners, all prisoners of war. They should be released as a condition for peace. The third condition is we're asking that a mediator be put into place that will go between the warring parties, the Amazonian forces, and the government to negotiate. The party has offered the services of our national chairman here present, John Frundi, as one of the best candidates for negotiation, for serving as the mediator. On the same score, we have been asking that observers, independent observers, be put in to watch the peace process. That they watch the peace process once the ceasefire has been put into place, to make sure that both sides are respecting the ceasefire. And finally, we reminded him that time is no longer in our favor, for the simple reason that the humanitarian atrocities have been so many that the country cannot continue for too long. These solutions must be put into place as soon as possible in order to avoid other countries coming in on the humanitarian, on the grounds of violation of humanitarian rights, to take over from the government. The government will have to make that choice. Either it moves fast, or the other countries will step in on humanitarian grounds. He was very, very supportive of the army. He says the army are professional and everything. But he said he would present all the proposals to the head of state, all the proposals we made, and we are looking forward to the result. The national chairman insisted that the head of state, he would like to meet the head of state to argue these points in person. At the end, the assessment of all damages in view to their compensation. And the SDF has always stood for a federation. That has been in our constitution. And we believe that the federation is one of the ways the finest way. It looks like we may have to, it will either be a federation or a confederation, but that's to be discussed when the mediator goes into position.
I hope that the coming here is not just to the gallery, because it's a form of discussion, seeking opinion, but I think that we should face the realities on the ground. Because 3 years back, the situation was not like this. It's worsened. And we would be saying that there should be a ceasefire initiated by government. Because when they initiate a ceasefire, the Amber Boys will have no reason to start fighting, because their excuses are fighting in defense. Second, we expect a release of those people who have been locked up, and then dialogue can begin. Because if the people are not released, or the government claims that they don't know whom to dialogue, that's not true, because people have been locked up. So we expect to see some inclusive dialogue, because what we're doing, my estimate of what government is currently doing, is a monologue, talking amongst itself, because the protagonists are there, both in Cameroon as well as outside. The head of state needs to get on the ground, because some of us think that he's abdicated his functions. Because the Prime Minister came, the former Prime Minister came, the current Prime Minister is on. There's been talk on the head of state, the father of everybody, getting on the ground, coming to the northwest and going to the southwest. This could make the big difference.
Chief Dr. Joseph NGUTE equally met with women, notably those of the Northwest Southwest Women's Task Force, who welcomed the Prime Minister in the Northwest Regional capital Bamenda with lamentations over the devastating and deadly consequences of the Anglophone crisis, and the women were begging for peace.
The bloodbath, our children dying, people living in the bushes. With the coming of the PM, we expect a lot. We expect the powers that be to see our pain and know our pain, to be our leaders and lead us. We have come out and we are saying it is like sometimes they are not hearing us. So women came out to tell it to him what they feel, and we believe that in leadership, when your people say it's paining, then it is time to make them feel good. So we expect that. We have stated how we feel as women, and the eminent demand we have placed in front of the PM is peace. We need peace as women so that we can continue to live our lives normally. The Prime Minister has spoken to the women. They listened to him keenly. They did not give him a response. And I am certain that after they leave this place, they will by themselves determine what they have heard and how they took it. The most important thing that we have is that the Prime Minister listened to the grassroots women and they expressed their own needs. And we are praying that there should be an understanding in the conversation that they had, because North is just serving as a medium to bring the grassroots women towards the PM, and the PM meeting the grassroots women, so that the voices of women too be heard in the crisis.
We saw the women, most of them dressed in black, and they were in tears. I guess you actually saw the tears flowing. They were crying, wailing, because there is no peace. For 3 years, you heard them crying. They've not been able to move around freely. Their children have not been going to school. The economy is collapsing. You hear them say they usually work their farm and be able to sell the crops from their farms. They've not been able to do it. And they were very happy that the Prime Minister is coming. And as he told them, sent by the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, to come and listen to them, to come and give a message of hope, a message of confidence, to rebuild confidence. Asking these women from the meeting he had, that they should, the only problem, the only stalemate which we have, the most difficult stalemate which we have today to open the doors to everything is the guns, is the children with weapons. He's told them that even the military should not be around if those guns were not being used, if the boys were not in the bushes. And he pleaded with these women who were crying, talking to them, please go home. These are definitely your children. If they are not your children, they are your sister's children. Talk to your husbands, talk to your fathers, and let's see how they can put down their guns, leave the suffering which we know there's nobody that could like life, especially our youths. They love life in town, especially in this generation. They shouldn't be in the bushes. They should come. And you heard him. He said everything the President of the Republic is ready to put on the table, but for cessation. Everything could be negotiated. He said there are even special programs to recruit, specific recruitment, especially for those boys who will come back from the bushes. He even made them understand that all arrangements had been made for those who want to, for all of them to come out, and a safe passage is for them. Nobody, there's total amnesty. Nobody will be held responsible. I'm a professor, as you said. If I never went to school, and especially at the age that I was supposed to go to school, I don't think I would have been a professor today. So we've lost out for 3 years. We are the ones suffering. The Northwest, the Southwest is the one going backwards, because the biggest tool anybody can have is when you're educated. All of you standing in front of me, you went to school. If you didn't go to school, you'll not be where you are. So school is very, very important. The intake into the universities are dropping because some of them have preferred to go wayward. Some of them have problems because they are not sure of security. They're not to talk of the children who, at 3 years, they should have started school. They'll be turning 6. With that, the IQ is dropping. It's not moving in the right direction. So if we don't get them to go to school at the right age, everything has been calculated. There's an age to go to school. When you skip that age to go to school, we are making life difficult. And the tomorrow for the Northwest and the Southwest, where we should be leading Cameroon in terms of our knowledge and intelligence, we shouldn't be doing that. We should not stop education. So I'm pleading to all parents. Nobody should deceive us. There's no cessation. But every other thing, we heard the Prime Minister who says the head of state received him yesterday and sent him with specific instructions that everything is on the table. He's preparing the dialogue. So the parents now, we should all move. It's our business. We are the ones suffering. We cannot go to our villages. We cannot move around. We cannot farm. The economy is down. Why do you decide? This is self-inflicted punishment. That's how I look at it. It's self-inflicted punishment. It's self-inflicted, retarding our own economy, retarding our own regions, whereas we should be progressing. So it's a plea to my mothers, to my fathers, to my husbands, to my sons, to my daughters. Please, let us put down our guns. Let's encourage those who hold the guns, put it down. Let us live freely. There should be no fear. Let us have a peaceful environment. If they are scared of military, the Prime Minister said military is pulling out. Immediately guns are down. So we should not have, we don't need military in our presence. We should not attract them. And then let the schools be free. He even said that most of the schools will be rebuilt. And there's even a plan. If we do it immediately before September, most of those schools, a good number of them will be rebuilt. And they'll be rebuilt by us. Houses, we will say a good number of them. There are programs that will be put in place. But the only obstacle, we even had this, the lady of the United Nations who came here, said, peace, when they put down the guns, then we can be discussing. Can you discuss when there's gun? You cannot discuss under such conditions. Let us not inflict punishments. My parents, my brothers, my sisters, peace, peace, peace. Let's take that message and beg everybody to come out and let's sit in town and move on well.
And traditional rulers from different parts of the Northwest region of the country were also received by the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph NGUTE, and he held talks with the traditional rulers, most of whom have fled their villages, have fled their chiefdoms, and are seeking refuge out of their villages because of the Anglophone crisis. And the Prime Minister, of course, conveyed the message of peace to the traditional rulers. Conspicuously absent some of the first-class traditional rulers here in the Northwest region of the country. We're talking about the fon of Mankon, for example. We're talking about the fon of Bafud. We're equally talking about the fon of Balinyonga. One of the traditional rulers from the Menchum division spoke to me and he said the situation in his village is disturbing.
I'm a refugee now in Wom. I'm staying in Wom now. It's over 2 years that I'm not staying in Wom. Since then, I've never gone down to my village in Bangwe, where you have the Menchum 4 power project. And the project is not even progressing. So we don't know the type of project they are giving out to other divisions or in other places. Menchum is not there. Since 2010 that the head of state programmed this, we have never got anything. And we did everything to Menchum 4, knowing that already they were even coming to pay the people because everything, the physical study was already done.
The situation in NGUTE is very volatile. In fact, I would say that Council has not been operating to full capacity for the last 6 months. From September, the situation has not been good at all. Just like you will find elsewhere within the Northwest region, where insecurity is rife on both sides, both on the pro-independence as well as government forces. People have been killed, they have been kidnapped, a lot of arson has taken place. In fact, NGUTE is virtually a dead town as we speak.
The Prime Minister of the Republic of Cameroon, Chief Dr. Joseph NGUTE, is in Bambili in the Mesam Division, Northwest region of Cameroon. Security is tight. The people have deserted the area. Most of them are in hiding. The streets are deserted after the pro-independence fighters declared a ghost town, even while the Prime Minister is visiting the region. And now we move through some parts of the locality, and we noticed that there was nobody on the streets. The people are either in their homes or in the bushes after the pro-independence fighters declared a ghost town. Activities are grounded here in Bambili. As you can see behind me, shops are closed and all the business activities have been brought to a halt by the Operation Ghost Town declared by pro-independence fighters. And this is practically the way life has been going on for close to 3 years today in the locality of Bambili and several other parts of the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, with the phenomenon of a ghost town that is being enforced by the pro-independence fighters as a result of the deepening Anglophone crisis. And of course, the people have been living in this way for quite a long period of time, and many of them are lamenting over the devastating consequences of the crisis on human life, on their activities, on everything, on life as a whole in this area. It is a dead Bambili welcoming the Prime Minister, who is visiting particularly the University of Bamenda in this locality.
Thank you. They tell me say even the dialogue when we want it, they hold that dialogue, but I don't hear. We go discuss all we think them. But that's also say Cameroon now one country, not be so. That's so. No one make Cameroon divide.
It's a good news for Cameroonians. Let people stand and talk. Let them meet the people. Let them come on the street and know that people are suffering. Help the people. Why can't you help the people as like the Prime Minister is doing today? We all of us are happy for what he has done today. And he should continue like this. Let him come and meet the people. Meet all the poor people. Meet all the mad people on the street. And we will have a solution to all this crisis. We are suffering in our region. The whole time we are suffering. I am happy today because this is a history. He has created history. The minister has created a history and we appreciate it. Because only for me to stand and talk like this, it is the courage, and I'm feeling that my 10 brothers who are out there, they will see that he has tried. Maybe he cannot do all, but he has done it.
The Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph NGUTE, is at the Bamenda main market and he's discussing with some traders here at the Bamenda main market. He's conveying to them the message of peace from the President of the Republic, and some of them are now talking to him, expressing their grievances, expressing some of the frustrations that he have, and of course their expectations.
We don't oversuffer for the trouble. We want me this trouble end. President, don't send me for camp beg when I say me this trouble end. May God bless you end.
Goodbye weapons, I stand no longer with you. Goodbye killings and violence, I stand no longer with you. I made up my mind to be good citizen for the rest of my life. I made up my mind to go citizen for the rest of my life. I made up my mind to be good citizen for the rest of my life. I made up my mind to go citizen for the rest of my life.
Thank you for extending to us the olive branch of mercy and pardon. We will not forget this. This center has been a place of transformation for us, a school that some of us never went to, a kind of home some of us never had. The staff have also been to us like fathers that some of us never had. we want to use this opportunity to say thanks to all the staff. To our father, the regional coordinator, we say thank you. To the chief of center and all those who have helped in one way or the other to teach, to counsel, to preach and advise us, we are grateful. The last visit of our grandfather, the national coordinator and the minister of territorial administration, was a great booster. We were greatly encouraged and given hope, for which we are grateful to them. Your Excellency, sir, just like the song we sang, we are making a pledge here and today to the President of the Republic of Cameroon that his olive branch will not be in vain. Your Excellency, we will be hypocrites if we end this speech without putting before you our grievances. One of the issues we are being confronted with are the challenging of living together as boys and girls. We humbly think might be resolved if we were to live in separate centers. We hope that the regional coordinator will help explain this to you better. More so, most of our family members are being threatened by our brothers in the bushes who know that we are here. This also, Your Excellency, is an issue which we plead that you look into. Furthermore, most of us were breadwinners in our families, having wives, children's fathers and mothers depending on us. But while staying here, we cannot help them as we used to. We humbly plead that you look into as well. Your Excellency, sir, the main issue we would like to table before you is that of reintegration. Some of us have been here for about 5 months, and with the teaching, preaching, and counseling we receive here, we humbly wish to believe that we, especially the first batch, should be ripe for reintegration. We, the ex-fighters of this center, are trained in various walks of life. We have builders, carpenters, panel beaters, mechanics, businessmen and women, drivers. We even have a trained grade 1 teacher holding a KPM, who also happened to have submitted his document for the integration of 1,000 grade 1 teachers under the Ministry of Basic Education last year, 2018. Your Excellency, with the transformation we have had in this center, we are promising you that we will never pick up arms again unless to defend our fatherland. And as military officials of this great country, Cameroon. Father, your children are calling on you. Please do something. Use us to set an example to the rest, and they will run out of the bushes into this place.
I urge you to communicate to others that they need to redeem their future also. We hope that that commitment which you have told us in your speech, in your songs, is real, and that you will not make the mistake of falling prey to those adventurers who led you astray in the first place. They say, if you fool me once, shame to you. If you fool me twice, shame to me. This is a reformation place.
The Prime Minister equally received bike riders in the northwest region of the country, and the bike riders complained to the Prime Minister about harassment and other atrocities allegedly committed by elements of the National Armed Forces, and also expressed their desire to see a return to normalcy in the northwest and of course southwest regions of the country. And the Prime Minister on his part told them to stay away from violence, but not just staying away, but also to preach the message of peace from the President of the Republic to their fellow bike riders, and also to do everything possible to reduce, or why not eradicate, the disorder that characterizes that sector of activity, the disorder that breeds insecurity. Journalists express their difficulties, the challenges they are facing, and put some questions to the Prime Minister of the Republic, notably concerning government's management of the Anglophone crisis and their job. And the Prime Minister promised to provide solutions, that government is going to provide solutions to their plights, also urging them to be messengers of peace. That is how we saw it in this special edition of The Inside from the palace of Fonangwafo III of Mankon in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda. Thank you for staying with us.